Welcome to Redbeard Radio. I'm Brian Keith, and I am facing an interesting challenge at my company, Lenders Online Training, where it was my client for a decade, my mother's company. And now, as she is transitioning out of the company, I have the challenge of taking the staff that is there, adding on more staff, and then figuring out how to move from being a team member who is handling the tech side into actually leading the company into a new direction. And as a lot of entrepreneurs move into the six-figure range, they stop doing everything themselves. They start hiring on team. And I've seen it again and again with my COO clients where building a team is a different skill set than being excellent at what you do in your company. So we have here today a leadership expert, Hal Halladay of Breakthrough Leadership, to talk with us about that transition from a founder-led company with maybe a VA or two into actually leading a team of people. Hal, welcome to Redbeard Radio.
Thank you, Brian. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited because it's one of these, the universe gives you exactly what you need. We're recording this here, we're in May. I've owned this new company, new quote unquote. It's been around since 1978. I've owned this new company for now 4.5 months. And the first piece of it was, okay, go bring in some new staff in addition to the core team, and then start taking some of the things that the founder was doing, like some of the webinar delivery, in-person classes delivery, and then outsource those to other team members. So the founder can focus on some of the other things like high-level sales and doing some more high-level thinking about the company. But I have this problem of how do I go and even take this culture, because the founder had this long track record. It's Linda Keith CPA was the name of the company. So I'd love to hear from you, Hal. What are some of the ways you found that people who are moving into this leadership position, how can we create that cultural DNA so we can say, this is who Lenders Online Training is?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it because I believe and have seen it again and again with clients that there's absolutely growth in getting your leadership right. Sometimes we talk about leadership as a cool thing to have, and we want to be that, but there's actually growth in companies that if leadership improved, growth would improve. And often I see companies that get stuck. They get stuck at revenue plateaus at these critical transition points where maybe the owner has to go from owner to CEO or owner to being a leader. And these transitions they're not easy. So I guess I have to say that up front. It might be simple to understand, but it's not easy for people. Brian, in your case, it might be easier because you don't have since 1978 a way of doing something that now you have to change. You might be willing there's not a bunch of things you have to let go of. But I'm still going to talk about the things you can do. But for somebody who's been the owner and running it themselves with a VA or two for a while, and now all of a sudden they're growing and they need more help, that transition is really tough. And I want to say this right up front because this might be the most important thing I'll say today, which is in leadership, it's not what you do, but it's who you are. It's not what you do, but it's who you are. And so our egos want us to be good at things. And we get bonuses and we get appreciation and we get growth from us doing stuff. But when your company grows beyond you and you need more help, you've got to let go of all that doing. And it's hard on your ego. It's hard to do. And I don't say that with any judgment. It just is for us human beings. But
it describes me perfectly that for a decade, I've had Lenders Online Training as a client, and I built out the membership site. It was rudimentary when I started working with the company in 2010. Had only been around for 2 years. And I built this out and was in the back end of designing everything, designing stuff in the Keep platform, working on the website, building all these processes. And so I take ego in that. It's also my mom's company. So it's this family business, right? My sister-in-law is the main administrator. So there's all this pride wrapped up in, well, I had this opinion. I believed this thing back in 2013. And here in 2022, being willing to say, it may have been a good idea then, but that has nothing to do with whether it's a good idea now for what we're doing now.
Yeah, but you're the boss, right? And that comes with some cool things and it comes with some risks. And being the boss, if you want to have it your way, you can. And, I often will tell my clients that I coach and help with leadership development is, hey, listen, I get it. You bought the company or you built the company. It's your money. It's your blood, sweat, and tears. It's your ideas. And you probably have more expertise than anybody. And if you want to live with that and not grow, great. That's a choice. But if you tell me you want to grow, then you're going to have to start to trust people. And people are going to have to start to trust you. And that's the part where who you are matters. And so getting clear about that, I think, is the most important part for this transition or this pivot. And so whether, in your case, um, you know, coming into a company, you've known it for a long time because it's been a client and it's been your mom's business. But I think the first thing we can do is be really clear about why this business matters to the world. And therefore, why will it matter to our employees? And if your reason is so I can buy a bigger boat or a second house or go on more vacations, then you're not going to have a lot of success attracting and
Yeah.
keeping your talent, right? But if you can say, hey, we want to help, a million entrepreneurs be something, or we want to solve the financial pain that they have within 24 hours. Whatever that purpose is that says your company matters to the world and the world would be worse off if your company wasn't there,
Yeah.
that gives people a meaning other than their paycheck. And that's really when you get their hearts and their minds. And then you want to be clear about, well, what's the way we do business? How do we treat each other? How do we treat customers? And those would be your core values.
Hmm.
And this isn't something you just fire out and, say, here's how we do it. But you got to really look inside and see if these are really who you are, not just who you want to be, but who you are. And then how do you, briefly operationalize those in your business, not just that they're maybe on the wall or in the
Yeah.
package that you give new employees, but do we really hire to those values? Do we let people go when they're in violation of those values after we've coached them and tried to help them? Do we work with our partners? What kind of business and who will we do business with? Will we do business with criminals, for example? No one probably would, but being, values, by the way, for most companies are pretty simple and they're mostly the same. We care about people. We're honest. We care about our customers. We innovate, things like that. They don't have to be unique, but they have to be clear for people, and they have to see that you as the leader live them because you're
Yeah.
the model, right? And I'm sure you've seen that.
I am blessed to have a very clear value statement for Lenders Online Training. We're the premier lender credit analysis training company in the United States. And so when we do our jobs well, lenders at small and mid-sized banks, credit unions, mortgage brokers, etc., have the credit analysis skills they need to make more good loans and to have more confidence and more competence in their job. And when we do our job well, people are able to buy homes, buy businesses, keep their businesses running, buy boats, second homes, whatever, run their farms, get farm loans. All of that kind of stuff comes from good credit analysis skills at the level of that frontline lender.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
none of that's mine. That's my mom because she's
Yeah,
amazing. So I
yeah.
inherit that, right? So all I got to do, I got to not screw it up. I just got to keep the focus on,
Well,
yeah, it's credit analysis for the frontline lender nationwide.
yeah. So I'd say, in this conversation, if we were working together, as the new owner, you don't want to change a bunch, but you might want to ask your team, what should this be, right? So you could take
Yeah.
that statement, that initial statement you said, and say, why? Why are we doing this? Why is this our statement?
Hmm.
And let it hear what they say. And when they tell you, then let's ask the second why. Well, why that?
Hmm.
Go a few levels deep. Sometimes we call this exercise 5 whys, but just asking the why of why we're the premier advisor, or sorry, I didn't get it. I didn't get it all
Credit,
right. But
it's pretty esoteric. Credit analysis training for lenders at small to mid-sized financial institutions.
yeah, so then
It,
say why and just
yeah.
see what your team has to say, and say when they tell you, then you could ask why again. This just helps it deepen it for people, and let them explore it and let them discover for themselves why it matters and why it matters to them. And you might not change the words at all, but now it has more meaning to people. They understand it in a
Mhm.
deeper way than if that's you just tell them this, right?
Yeah.
And for one, when you're the owner or the CEO, you've said it a billion times, and so you're kind of sick of it.
Right.
But for everybody else, it's new and it is not understood. We make the mistake as leaders that thinking it's understood because we understand it. But
Yeah.
we've spent a bunch of time with it. We've marinated it. We've worked it. We talk about it all the time, and not everybody else does. So a key thing here is to get with your team and explore why. And when you explore why, everybody starts to know what that means, and it starts to have meaning for them. And now they're engaged in a really cool new way. One more thing I want to share is this is the critical part of leadership, and this is the part of who you are. And that is to find the coaching mindset. As leaders, as owners of businesses, we are great at problem solving, and problem solving gets it done, right? And we want to hire people that are problem solvers. But to develop and lead people, you've got to change from the problem solving mindset to the coaching mindset. And the coaching mindset is to focus on the person, not on the problem. And if you think about the best leader that you've ever had, it's probably somebody who challenged you to think, who challenged you and listened to you, saw you as important and valuable. And that's where you develop the most. That's the person you want to be as a leader. And you do that by focusing on the person, not their problem. If we swoop in to solve a problem, it says to everybody, hey, that guy's the problem solver. That leader's the problem solver. So I'll just always sit by, kind of do my work. But anytime there's anything challenging or big or something I can't figure out, I'll wait for the leader to come in and solve that problem for me. So you are creating, as a leader, people who sit on the sidelines, and then you're frustrated because, hey, how come my team isn't solving problems? How come my team isn't innovating more? How come my team isn't coming up with creative solutions? So I'm going to have to micromanage that team. Of course, you're not saying this consciously. This is just happening subconsciously. So then you start micromanaging more because you think that's the answer. Well, the answer is to back away, to ask more questions, and to listen better. The less you say in this transition to becoming a leader, the better. You listen, you ask powerful questions, not yes, no questions, not I'm checking on you questions, but well, how would you think about that? How do you think we should proceed? What would you do if you didn't have any fear? What would you do if you had unlimited resources? How would you go about this problem? And then you listen.
I feel very called out as I have the continuing urge to go fix things because I did build the tech back end of this company.
Of course.
And like I can go do thing X, whatever it is, and maybe I can do it faster than whoever I've now hired to take care of it. But there's no chance that I can do that long enough to actually get to where we want to go. So what I just did, Hal, you'll appreciate this. Last week, I was thinking about, and I just read the Theory of Constraints book again, Elihu Goldratt's thing. And I was thinking about, okay, so what's my mental limitations here on what we could do with Lenders Online Training? And I went ahead and I asked the team this last week. I said, what would have to be true for us to double in sales every quarter? Where's the actual constraint here? Because we have more capacity, like we have a great system for handling capacity for teaching people, and we do 4 and 8 week 4 and 8 week online classes, and then 2-day in-person classes. Those are the two main things that we do, and we have plenty of capacity. And so I just asked the team. I said, "Okay, here's a vision. What would have to be true, or where are the obstacles here?"
I love it.
And now the team's working on it. I'm just hiring a sales coach right now to go take our sales team because we're moving out of Linda knows everyone. She's been in the business since 78.
Yeah. She's been the bottleneck.
Yeah. But she knows everyone. Like, oh, how's your kid doing? You know, who you had when your kid was a baby 30 years ago when you first hired me, which is amazing. And it's completely non-replicatable, not scalable in the least. So we're saying, okay, what she's already doing can we go transition into the 2 salespeople I brought on? And then I'm telling them, I'd say, okay, what needs to be true to double in sales every quarter? And I brought in a sales coach who specializes in this, Wes Schaefer. And Wes is going to be there. You know Wes, fantastic. Yeah. So Wes is my guy for this. Like, okay. I also hired him onto one of my COO companies just now because I also COO out for my other business, Red Beard Consulting. And like, okay, Wes, here's the mission is transitioning founder-led sales process to system-based sales process.
Yes, great.
We know what the mission is. We have the team. They're hungry. We have the best-in-class product that is critical to our national happiness, economic security. It's really important. And now it's, okay, how can I both get out of the way? But here's the question, Hal. How can I get out of the way, but also keep nudging enough
Yeah.
to keep things in the direction that I want things to go.
Yeah, that's the coaching mindset. And you can. And I just laughed because it's so funny that, of course, you can do it better than everyone. Of course, you can do it faster than everyone. And if you want to have that, go for it. Your business won't grow, right?
Yeah.
But you've realized, hey, if this has to scale somehow, and I'm now the bottleneck. If I don't help others learn and understand this, then it'll only be as big as everything running through me, right? So when you make that realization, which you've made, I think it's awesome. And I think you can laugh at yourself in saying, well, in my head, that story's running that maybe I should be doing all this, but you know it's not going to work. So
Yeah.
now you can start to ask the questions that, by the way, are supportive. You can still ask once you ask people, well, how would we do this? And what would be your next step? And who else could help you with this? And how can I help you be accountable to that? Do you want to meet once a week and tell me what you've learned? Right? All these questions, just questions, put it on them to tell you how to best support them to the outcome you want. So we tend to think that we know how to get there and our leadership is going to get us there. It isn't. It is if done well. It isn't if we micromanage. So when you start asking all those questions, and all of them lead to accountability, to completion, to success, you just keep asking and you learn to ask those questions. And that's hard for people because they want to tell. And by the way, I'm, been in business 30 years. I've got a lot of knowledge. I naturally want to tell people, but I've got to practice asking the questions and not asking them in leading ways, but asking them to help people explore. But then I can ask them, well, what would you do next? What do you think a plan would look like? How can I support you? What am I doing to get in your way? What could I do to help you? All these are coaching questions. These are, of course, I'm a coach, so I'm pretty good at it and it's easy for me to rattle them off. But you can learn these questions. And if you are curious, that's the thing to remember. If you're curious, you'll discover these questions and people will come strong to the aid of this company and they will love it because you're giving them the chance to build it. It's on them now, not you.
Yeah.
And now they're a part of something really cool and they're an important part and they're valued by you because you're asking them for their help. People want to give that help and they get paid for it too, obviously.
Yeah. The 3 questions I've been asking my team is I'm asking, are you having fun? Are you challenged? Do you feel well compensated? And I keep on asking those questions and just checking in to make sure there's the right balance of both fun, but also challenging.
Great. Here's my challenge for you.
Yeah.
How can you take those 3 questions and move them from a yes or no to a question that someone has to think about and answer? I'll give you a hint on the first one. Are we having fun? Or are you having fun? To what are you doing to have fun?
Or I could also say, fun? What was the most fun in the last month? Which project? And then also, what do you have coming up in the next month that you're really excited about? That sounds fun.
You got it.
And the same question with challenge. Yes. That's fascinating.
Yes.
In retrospect, of course, I should have been asking that way, but I didn't think about it. I thought I'm so cool for asking these really good questions.
By the way, and they're great questions. And if you can tweak them just slightly, they become powerful questions. So congrats for asking those kinds of questions. That curiosity, and what makes it more powerful is when we change it from a yes or no, because they don't have to think about that. They could just give you the answer they hope you want to hear. But when you change it from that, all of a sudden you are getting to know them and you're interested in them versus just checking on them. And that's what that little trick does for you.
Yeah. What will make your role here really challenging over the next 3 months? What challenge are you most excited about in the next 3 months?
Right. And then here's a little trick for everybody. After they answer that, you just say, tell me more about that. Right?
I'm going to hand this interview to my staff, and then I'm going to have a call where I'm going to say exactly what you just said, and they'll all know why. But it's still going to work because I genuinely am curious about them, and I want their lives to be amazing and their work to be fantastically fun and satisfying and challenging and well compensated as they do this important work. So it's all going to be authentic, friends, on my team.
This isn't a trick. This is 2 humans. We're 1 human to 1 or 1 to a team. Just getting clear about who we are and what we want to do and how we do it and how we can help each other. These are just conversations, right? And it's, by the way, if somebody doesn't like working in that kind of environment, they just want to be bossed around, then you want them to go work somewhere else, right?
Hmm.
Because I know you genuinely care about these things. And so you're going to help them. And even if they know you're learning this, great. Hey, look what Brian's learning. Look how he's learning to help me and develop me. And by the way, you want to be the boss in 10 years that they look back and say, yeah, Brian was the guy who asked me these questions that really challenged me. And it wasn't easy sometimes. And I wished he just would have told me the answer, but he didn't. And I am who I am because he asked me those questions. That's what you want to have. And by the way, that also produces great results in a business, right? That's not just for your ego. That produces great results in a business, and it creates people who want to talk about your business, even if they leave, about what a great experience it was.
A while back, I interviewed Ian Lurie on this podcast, my first boss out of college, and the opportunity he gave me to grow into a position that, looking back, I was blatantly unqualified for. There's
Yes,
no
awesome.
question. Like, Ian, why did you believe in me? And
Yeah,
yeah, to get to have him on the show and talk about whatever it was we talked about on that episode, I thought, man, this guy,
yeah,
he changed my whole life, right? My whole life from this one
so great.
opportunity and him believing in me with
Yeah,
no evidence, really. And so yeah,
so great.
I want to be the person who I talk to all my staff and I say, what opportunity can this be for you? What role? Because of course, most people have more than one role they're in at one time now. So I say, okay,
Yeah,
well, how much of your week, how much of your work week should this role be? What do you want it to be? What would make this attractive enough to make this, say, half of your work energy?
yeah.
And what kind of compensation would that require? And so we're in this interesting place. And I'm curious, what you think, Hal, about how do you help people when they're working with staff and the staff has multiple roles in multiple companies? What's Hal's secret around how to keep people really invested in your company when your team is working on so many different projects?
Well, I think first of all, you have to find people who like that. There are people who like having a task list and killing it at the end of the day is what really gives them energy.
Yeah,
There are other people, I'm not one of those. There are other people like me who have sought out, I started my career as an investment banker. I worked on Wall Street. The reason I chose that is because it was a very dynamic job where it was project based and the things changed all the time. I never did the same thing. I applied
right.
some of the same principles to everything I did, but I might be working with a company that, looks like this and is in this industry. And 4 months later, I'm doing another one that looks completely different and is in a different industry. And that appeals to me. So if startups often need people who like doing a lot of things, who like ambiguity or things that you need learners, right? You need learners when you're sort of forming. As companies grow, then roles get more specialized and you have to find people who have more focus. But for most smaller businesses, you really want the people for certain roles who can do two things at the same time, who like
Mhm.
the variety or the adventure of learning something new. And then you also need a handful of people who are like, it's all going to get done that day. And anything that distracts them is going to screw that up. So, you need that focus. So I think you kind of have to identify those roles, what kind of personality would fit that, and then help people find the thing that works best for them. And hopefully there's a development plan or a growth plan for your company that says, hey, if we double in the next 2 or 3 years, I'm going to need a few leaders. Maybe that's something you're interested in. I'm going to need somebody who's going to be able to think about this in a 3x way or a 10x way. And it's not always right now you can do anything you want. We've got to build this company and grow it. And that's some of the incentive for everybody to work hard because the opportunities in 2 to 3 years could look dramatically different for those of you who want to do that. And
Yeah,
that's always exciting. It's exciting for you. It's exciting for them.
I'm following the entrepreneur's operating system model of personnel management that splits everybody into sales, marketing, operations, and then finance, HR, admin. And I'm sharing with the people in the company, here's what the map looks like. Let's understand, because everyone's filling, two or more roles right now, two to
Right.
five
Yeah.
roles. Which are all the roles you're filling right now? And then let's start documenting those roles because as we double in size each quarter, you're going to be losing some of those roles, the ones you like the least, to other people. So, of your five things you're currently doing, which do you really love the most? That really lights
Yeah.
your fire? And
Yeah.
then let's outsource others to new team members. And
Yep.
then I also have on my plan, I'm hiring Wes right now for sales. Quarter one of owning the company was get some more people in the company and get them trained up to deliver the product. This stage 2 is pour gasoline on sales. And then stage 3 is hire a business coach. I'm going to be hiring Charles Gaudet, his team at Predictable Profits, because he's a friend of mine. We've worked together on the same project together for a client. And so I know his team and I know his work. And so I'm going to be hiring him because I'm going to assume that even though I understand the technical details quite well of how we deliver what we deliver, I'm going to assume that as my team grows past, 5 or 10 people, my ability to just already know the answer is going to be limited, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go hire a business coach. That's the thing after the next, 3 months or so of a focus on sales. And I'd love to hear from you, Hal, for people who are listening to how you think, they think I should hire a business coach. What kind of things do you offer to those companies in the 6-figure range that recognize, like me, that, hey, we're own a company and we're at the limits of our ability to scale it?
Yeah. Well, I've had a career of 30 years in business. 20 of those have been spent as a C-level executive. I've been CEO and sold a company. I focus mostly on the mindset and who you're being as leaders. And I have workshops as well as other kind of courses to help people be better leaders, because growth happens when there's leadership. So to me, it's super important. So I come at it that way. And it's been super effective. I also, because I've been a C-level executive in high growth companies, I know a lot about how businesses work. I'd love to talk to anybody that wants to, spend 15 minutes talking to me to explore if I can help them. If I can't, I'm the first guy to say it. You can find me at getbreakthroughleadership.com. You can email me at hal@getbreakleadership.com if you have a question or you want to set up a little bit of time to chat, and we can just explore what you're doing. I'm sure in the conversation you'll get something out of it. And if we decide there's some opportunity for you I'm often helping companies who are scaling and developing their first leaders, and you don't have a leadership development plan, you don't know how to help them. I've got some courses that really can accelerate, and it's just a way for you to easily outsource to an expert on leadership.
Beautiful, Hal. Thank you so much. And thank you for being on Redbeard Radio.
Thank you.